And boom, we're live. Jonathan Fibonacci, best documentarian ever. You know, I watched the movie Cold Mountain. That's Durango Mountain out there in Durango, Colorado. I don't know how long you've been watching this channel, Jonathan Fibonacci, and all my adventures and travels. And of course, anybody who's watched this channel or been a Fibonacci knows that I'm talking about all kinds of things. You know, one day I'm talking about how I want to remake, like, I don't know, a documentary on boxing and how... But I got news, man. You're like, holy shit, you finally got published. No, I found a really good book. Look at this. I mean, this is amazing. I just found this book. You know, and I love photography and obviously documentaries and I just, here you go. Let me just give this guy credit. Here you go. A Turning Point, Images to Words by Victor, whatever his last name is, Victor G. Pick up this book. You know, I love, here you go. This might even be an original signed picture. But guess what, guys? I got news. Jonathan Fibonacci. Yesterday, anybody who follows this channel knows that I do a ton of photography, and I love to photograph churches and love to photograph. I usually mostly focus on Catholic churches just because I personally find them more beautiful. And well, yesterday I was in San Francisco, and I got attacked by 2 security guards at a Jewish temple. You know, it's a public space. Anybody who's followed the Howard Schultz story with Starbucks, there's a lot of talk these days about public spaces and what is a public space and are homeless people or, we really need to start talking about public spaces. And thank you, Howard Schultz, for standing up for poor people. Remember that about a month ago when those people walked in, they were kicked out of a public space just because they didn't have any money. And then Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, said, bullshit, man. Wrote him a check, was a good CEO, not just to the 2 people who were truly victimized, but to, the homeless cause, or the cause, what I like to call just poverty. When people are poor, they just can't go to stores. Well, there's a huge movement to really eradicate homeless people. Well, private prisons are one example, but this is a quote that I want you to remember. In fact, when I make my documentary, and this YouTube channel is really just a bunch of hodgepodge of documentary clips, and I'll kind of put it together someday with a professional editor. I think I already have my sound guy. There's at least 2 documentaries I want to make. But today I want to talk about, yesterday, Jonathan Fibonacci was attacked. I mean, literally, I went to a temple in San Francisco, and 2 security guards literally attacked me. Blood on my hands. I was literally ripping the guy's arm off my neck. He was so vicious in his attack that I cut my hand on trying to remove his wrist or his wristwatch from my throat. You're like, why do we care about homeless people, Jonathan? Well, here you go. Remember this guy? He says, they came for the communists, and I didn't care. For I wasn't a communist. They came for the socialists, but I didn't care. I wasn't a socialist. And eventually it says they came for the labor leaders, but I didn't care. I wasn't a labor leader. Then they came for the Jews, but I didn't object, for I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to object. So Jonathan Fibonacci, I got attacked, literally attacked. I did a video of it, and 8 police officers came to the aid of to the people who made the phone call. I'm a homeless individual. Jonathan Fibonacci, San Francisco. Homelessness is really just poverty. But unlike a lot of people who just drink and feel sorry for themselves, I decided to make a documentary. While I'm applying for jobs every day, I've learned so much about this country through homelessness and poverty and really how corrupt the police are. First in Durango, go back and watch those videos, where they're putting people in camps. Literally. Now, we got to remember, we tried to do that with the Chinese in 1927, or maybe it was the Japanese. We put whenever you hear in America, if all you get out of this video is this gorgeous quote, and remember it, when they came for me, there was no one left to object. So it really is a documentary about what's happening in America, how homeless people are treated, how police corruption is never really taken seriously because the police will respond to whoever has the most money in the situation. Even with my hand literally bleeding, I asked for assaulted battery charges against the security officers, and 8 police officers refused, 8 of them, not 1, not 2, not 4, not 7, 8 police officers refused to charge a security officer with assault and battery. Google that. So I'm going to sue the fuck out of those people because we know if you want to get the Jews' attention, you don't talk about Jesus, you talk about their money. And there's a wonderful documentary about Madoff and the new Jews and how the Jews really are the new oppressor. And all I wanted to do was exercise my First Amendment and go to a public space and photograph a temple, much like I've done with Catholic churches for the last 3 to 4 years. I was literally viciously attacked. I didn't fight back. I just resisted being strangled. And then I with literally bleeding hands, I told the security officers or the police officers, I'm like, what more proof do you need of assault and battery than my hands? Of course, the police officers are trying to get the paramedics to clean it up. They're like, we want to make sure this is really clean. I'm like, no, this is evidence. And they refuse to cite the security officer. And I'll put the name of the temple in San Francisco. So let me ask you a question. Are we taking the racism seriously that the Jews have for non-Jews? And are we really taking police brutality seriously as it relates to homelessness? I mean, we probably don't go one day. You probably will not go one day or not even 2 days without some story where white men are persecuted wrongly, whether it's a Me Too, a false Me Too allegation, or perhaps it's just maybe a homeless person was assaulted, or maybe it was a father who never sees his children because, well, women get what they want in civil courts. So why should you care? Well, history says, Martin Niemöller, hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly, this is why you should care. Because when we don't care about our brother, eventually we will become the oppressed, and we should stand wherever there's oppression. And how the San Francisco Police Department still owes me a citation for those 2 security guards for assault and battery. And I have visual evidence for it. And I'm going to push to get that charge so that I can go talk to a judge here in San Francisco to say, I want you to see how homeless people are truly treated in public spaces. So here you go. Jonathan Fibonacci, documentary extraordinaire. Boom, here you go. Oh, I remember I said, if you ever hear any person anywhere talk to you about putting people in camps, I want you to Google the Japanese internment camps of 1927 or 1928. Whenever you hear that humans are put in camps, whether it's Auschwitz or an internment camp, but now the rhetoric is with homelessness. Let's put homeless men in camps. You'll hear that repeatedly. Another thing you'll hear a lot with the homeless narrative, or what I call the fake news homeless narrative, is you'll hear people talk about mental illness. And this is why we are mistreating white men or black men. I mean, historically, homeless people or poverty really affected mostly minorities. Well, we are the new nigga, as I like to say. We, the white man, is the new nigga.